Imagine, it's 3 a.m. and your cell phone rings. Much to your surprise, it's your son's best friend calling with panic to let you know that your son, who is just across the hall from you, has just taken a variety of pills in an attempt to kill himself. Imagine getting this phone call as a parent. What is your first thought? What is your first action? Can you even move because you haven't got past the shock that this is actually happening to your child? Your mind is racing with questions, asking yourself, what did I do? What didn't I do? Was he depressed? Why didn't I see the signs? Were there even signs? All these questions run through your mind as you're watching your son fight for his life. Suicide ideations and attempts affect people of all ages. Today I'm going to talk to you about youth suicide. What leads a child to want to end their own life? And how can I help? These are the questions that I want you to think about. These are the questions that I want you to ask yourself. As parents, educators, and adult figures, we need to be more educated and trained on knowing what these warning signs are so we can help these children. According to the National Alliance on Mental Health, there are many warning signs that include threats and comments about killing self, aggressive behavior, increased alcohol and drug abuse, social withdrawal from family, friends, and community, dramatic mood swings, talking, writing, and even thinking about death, and impulsive or reckless behaviors. If we learn these signs, maybe we would be able to help one child. Maybe you could be responsible for saving one child's life. My own belief is that most of these children that attempt suicide don't actually want to die, but it is a cry for help because they can't say, I need help. They're too embarrassed or they're too ashamed. I currently work at a children's hospital and frequently work on the psychiatric unit. On this unit, children from the ages of 5 to 17 are admitted for inpatient care. These children come in for many different reasons. Either they are having behavioral problems, or they have psychosis, or even they have homicidal ideations. But the biggest percentage of these children are seen for suicidal attempts or suicidal ideations or thoughts. I have seen and heard so many different stories, so many different reasons that these children have tried to complete suicide. Many of these children suffer from depression, anxiety, anger, and even bullying. Their reasonings go from one extreme to the next. One child might be coming in because they had a fight with their mother because they couldn't go outside after dark, and things escalated and got out of control. To another child that is coming in because they have just lost both of their parents to drug overdoses. Sometimes children may never give clues that they are having suicidal ideations. In my own experience, I interview both parents and patients. Most of the time, these parents have no idea that their child is even suicidal until they are in the hospital receiving medical care. A lot of times, children don't feel like they can talk to their parents about their problems because 1, they're either part of the problem, or 2, because the child is so embarrassed and ashamed and they don't want to disappoint their families. According to the article on the CDC website called Suicide Prevention that was posted on January 9th of 2014, suicide is the 3rd leading cause of death between the ages of 10 to 24 years old. Suicide results in approximately 4,600 lives lost each year. The top 3 methods of suicide include poisoning at about 8%, suffocation at about 40%, and at about 45% of firearms being the leading cause. Each year, approximately 157,000 people between the ages of 10 and 24 are seen in emergency departments across the U.S. for medical care for self-inflicted injuries. Studies that also come from the CDC show that boys are more likely to complete suicide than females. For the same age group of the ages of 10 to 24, about 81% of suicide deaths are males and about 19% are females. One of the questions that I asked you to think about was, how can I help? The fact of the matter is that now that you have a pretty good understanding of what these signs are, you may be able to save one child. If you know any child that is suffering from any of these signs or suffering from depression or anxiety, maybe you should take them to the emergency department to be evaluated. From the emergency department, they will be evaluated and decided if they need to have inpatient care or if outpatient care is suitable for them. After a patient is released from inpatient care, they are generally required to follow up with counseling and therapy after their stay. Suicide is the third leading cause of death in youths between the ages of 10 to 24. If we can educate and train our parents, our educators, and our adult figures, maybe, just maybe, we can change this number.